Howdy, howdy, Sue Devil here. In this episode, second episode of our online ladder battles. In this series, we're going to continue to see if we can put the things we learned in the Essential Unit series into action in actual battles. So here I'm up against the Greenskins. My army has 2 units of Gyrocopters with brimstone guns, of course, and my main line consists of the always effective Longbeards, especially with that double buff again, rocking the 46 melee attack. And I position my Thane out front because I do want him to engage some units before they get to my line. And actually, I could have done a better job with my Thane in this battle. I really misused him. For my secondary infantry, I've got 2 units of Longbeards with great weapons. At 44 melee attack, these guys are very effective. They can really mow down heavy units, and I brought them really to face any black orcs that he brought. I have some slayers in the back for any big units, and the miners here I just had just a little bit of extra cash, so they're in the back to cover. They're not going to really do anything. Well, I guess they're going to help against these wolf riders, but they're just extra. And for my range, I brought 1 group of thunders, usually intended for anti-lord duty, but because he has the Arachnarok spiders, they will be focused on that. And the quarrelers, again, with the Greenskins, they have lots of targets that don't have a lot of armor, so they can be very effective in this matchup. And lastly, I have a unit of cannons, and they are extremely effective in every single situation. And they do have problems with line of sight, but if you see my essential units on artillery, they're the best unit that the Dwarfs have. And as far as his army goes, he has 2 units of Goblin Wolf Riders over here. Now I'm going to take my Gyrocopters and try and release all my bombs before I bring them to his main line to start going to work. And over in the far corner, he has another 2 units of Wolf Riders. Now these Goblin Wolf Riders can be awesome. They're very, very cheap, and they're good for harass, but they really can't do a ton of damage to my army, even against the Quarrelers or the Thunderers. I mean, they're 36 melee attack and 32 melee attack. They're going to stand up to them very well, so they're not going to get a whole lot done. For the rest of his army, he went very Goblin heavy. I think the idea was he was going to use this great shaman, and I think he has another Goblin Big Boss to use. Here we go, to get that plus 58 melee attack to try and get a lot of use out of these goblins, and also just to tie up my main infantry or my units so he could have free reign with his Arachnarok spiders. He also has 3 units of trolls, which can be very good, but slayers are super effective against these guys. They have really low morale. I think they're a tricky unit to use personally. It's hard to see them used effectively a lot, in my opinion, and just more goblins back here. So really a goblin heavy army. So we'll press play, and I'll probably do a bit of fast forwarding. You know, as I saw this again, I wanted to get rid of my bombs over here early, and you know, just cause some morale problems with his wolf riders. I don't know if I had a better target for those bombs. I suppose the trolls would have been a lot better. You know, I was just single-minded in trying to get rid of these, or get rid of my bombs here. So I wasn't really thinking about that, because I wanted to get rid of them fast, and get these units to rout, and then get over to the main line. I think it would have been better off dropping them on the trolls, but because he had nothing to contest my air units, so I'm just gonna wait here to see how the battle develops. I really want to use my cannons on those Arachnarok spiders. I'll fast forward it here, and when they get in again, I'll use all my my ranged units on the Arachnaroks. Those are 2,000 each. Extremely heavy investment, and that's 4,000 gold sitting there. If I can get rid of those 2 units, the battle's over. These goblins are not going to be able to get it done. The trolls are going to do some damage, but you know, here's the key units. So I start focusing on them right away. Well, I took one shot at the Great Shaman and then kind of worked out, wait a minute, what am I doing? He uses a spell to try and get some damage in on my brimstones, but it's not going to be real effective. Some cannon shots will start coming in here. I'll fast forward it again until we get a lot closer, so you can see my cannon starting to fire. I brought my cannons back. I knew they were going to come through my line, and I wanted to see if I could continue to shoot, and now the engagement's starting in earnest. So these got a lot of armor, 150, so the Thunderers are going to really do some nice work on them. Quarrelers aren't going to do much, but you know, these guys can take out half my army by themselves if I let them do what they need to do. My Thane, here's where I should have really started my Thane up towards those Arachnaroks. Get him out there and slow them down. He does bring in his Wolf Riders from the side. I saw that, brought my Slayers back. They're not going to do a whole lot of damage, but they interrupt my cannon, which is why these are so good. For very inexpensively, they can do that. Now, here is where I start using my buffs. So I'm basically going to use all my buffs. I want to save as much health as I can. So I have my plus 36 melee defense buff, my 44% damage mitigation buff, and I think I'm going to pop my plus 15 armor. So I'm going to bring in my Slayers here. I want to get rid of that guy. I've already done some good work on him, and I want to get him routing and running away right now. So he's going, and I bring my Slayers over to this side, and my Longbeards, armor piercing, they got lots of armor, and you can just watch how fast his health's going to drop, and you know, that's going to be it for those spiders. So here's where the Gyrocopters really come into play. They're really strong. I'm going to send one Gyrocopter after this guy. I want to keep him routing, and one after this guy to try and keep him routing. I was really focused on that. I wasn't doing much with the rest of my army. I was just, you know, I got Thorgrim in combat, and you know, I did a little bit of management over on this side, but I was really focused on those spiders because in my mind, the spiders are gone, battle's over. So just sent my Gyrocopters up, and I'm popping off my 15 extra armor as often as I can, and that's actually a really strong ability against the Greenskins, because they don't have a lot of units with armor piercing, so that 15 armor is going to be well used. And I think he's using, I'll just pause it here, I think he's using, here we go, Sneaky Stabbing, plus 34 melee attack, and that was the idea, to get those goblins to do, really buff them up and get them to do some work. And he does collapse this side of my line. He's really focused on that, but without these Arachnarok spiders, there's really not going to be much he can do. He'll cycle charge these guys in, you know, but they don't do a lot of damage. Even my miners are still fairly healthy. I've got my cannons back online, shooting at the Arachnaroks, and basically this guy, I didn't notice he was shattered. I should have brought him back right away, but I was just happy he was being chased off the map, because I knew, you know, 2,000 gold unit, putting an 800 gold unit on is a good trade. And this guy's broken again. I want to keep the pressure on, so I've got my Gyrocopters focused on him, and he's again going to come back, but I don't think my opponent noticed that. He's trying to micro in his Wolf Riders for cycle charges, and he does a good job. He gets quite a few kills with these Wolf Riders, even though they don't do a lot of damage. But I mean, here's the key unit. I mean, if these guys are not active, the battle doesn't matter. So you know, there's not really much to it from here on out. I think I'm bringing my Slayers back at some point, yeah, to fight those trolls, and now we're just going to get a chain route. I've got him going, and he's shattered. Didn't really notice that, but I didn't care. He's gone off the edge of the map. Ragnarok spiders are done. All I need to do is consolidate, again popping my 15 armor buff, and the battle's going to be over, because you'll see, I mean, these guys are going to charge in and basically do nothing. And if you even look here, you know, unit winning decisively, Thunders versus the Wolf Riders. So with those buffs, it's pretty much game over. I think his big boss, I'm going to collapse in on his big boss right now. Got my runesmith, my other units on here, and I'm going to start to take him down extremely fast at this point. He's trying to bring back his units from routing, but now this guy is routing and it's basically over. I think he calls it pretty soon. Again, popping my 15 armor, and that's 15 armor. You get to pop it quite a bit, and it lasts for a while. In the right situation, it can be really effective. I got my Thane going after his Great Shaman. Everything's routed, and it's game over. So, if we look at the end statistics, this is the key one here. Is our Arachnarok Spider. I was able to use my cannon, thunders, and quarrelers pretty much 100% focused, and my Gyrocopters to really eliminate what these guys can do. And these guys are a really big risk to bring to a battle. I think you'd never want more than one, but and you look at the goblins, they all did pretty poorly, even with the here we go, or the sneaky stabbing. They couldn't get the job done. These Wolf Riders did pretty decent for their cost. I think they outperformed their cost. You know, these guys didn't do great. And the Trolls, I would say, generally underperformed. You're going to want a lot more kills out of your Trolls than that. And on my side, Thorgrim went to work. I mean, he is a beast. And, yeah, there are a lot of goblins, but, you know, just they can't hit him. His melee defense is too high, his armor is too good, and he had all the buffs. The Runesmith, again, got him into a little bit of melee. Generally, you want to be careful about that. And I don't even think I popped a potion on my Thane. But that was my fault. I misused him in the beginning. I should have had him engaging the Arachnaroks right from the get to at least slow them down. I know they're gonna punt him back like 50 yards if they hit him, but I should have had him focused on the Arachnarok the entire time, or the big boss, or one of those guys, just so I could take them out of the game. And the miners, did pretty good. They're only fighting Wolf Riders, but you know, normally I wouldn't take miners. They're super weak and they don't really do much of anything. I just had extra gold, and here my Longbeard's fantastic. You know, basically 100 kills each. They, again, were against goblins, but they were fighting these trolls too. And, you know, and I think his big boss came in there and started the attack. My line, for the most part, held. These Longbeards with great weapons are fantastic. You know, against Black Orcs, they do really, really good. They're competitive with those two buffs, the plus 16 melee. They can hang in there with Black Orcs, and at 750 gold versus 1100 gold, that's saying something. That's a great value. Slayers, I could have used them a little more effectively, I think. I don't know if I should have sent them after the Arachnaroks. Maybe I should have just maintained focus on these trolls. They would have got a lot less kills, and my line would have been more secured. But, you know, when I saw 4,000 gold tied up in those two units, that's the only thing I was thinking about. And again, didn't get a lot of kills with these guys, but it didn't matter. And in the end of the game, they kept these Arachnaroks going. There was going to be nothing. There was no way he was ever going to take the rest of my army with these goblins, no matter how many buffs he had. So, a pretty straightforward fight. And thank you to the sexy beast for the battle. Hopefully we'll see him on ladder again. I hope you guys found that interesting, and I'll see you soon.